It's hard to know where the left currently stands on immigration because at first the travel ban was bad, but then it was good. They support it, they hate it, they love them, they hate them. Okay, I can't tell you what, man. No matter what Trump does, they're going to complain about it. Well, recently, Donald Trump moved to extend border restrictions indefinitely, according to the New York Times. Orders that effectively sealed the United States to migrants seeking protection from persecution would remain in place until a health official declared the virus no longer a threat. Not a big fan of for your safety and once we deem it not to be a threat. Trump doesn't get the benefit of being able to enforce indefinite lockdowns. Sorry, I'm not playing that game. But something interesting is really happening right now. And we can call this out, we can criticize it, but take a look at this. From Vox.com. U.S. Immigration Agency could run out of money by the end of summer without a $1.2 billion bailout. Whoa, wait a minute. Why is USCIS going to run out of money? It's because fewer immigrants are applying to enter the U.S. Donald Trump doesn't even need to put any restrictions on the border. Ain't nobody coming. Nobody wants to come to the virus epicenter. It's working out great for Trump. Let's see what's going on with this story. Vox says, unlike other federal agencies, USCIS receives almost no taxpayer dollars and is dependent upon fees associated with filing applications for green cards, visas, work permits, U.S. citizenship, and humanitarian benefits such as asylum. The pandemic has already brought on a dramatic decrease in its revenues that is only likely to worsen as applications are estimated to drop by about 61% through September. An agency spokesperson said, President Donald Trump's restrictions on immigration, other countries' restrictions on travel, and the fact that necessary government offices aren't open to process applications have all contributed to this decline. So, okay, maybe it was a little exaggerated to say nobody's applying, but that's what they straight up said. It could be because people are in their homes, they're scared. I'm sure immigration in general will go down because people really are concerned with potentially contracting COVID if you come to the U.S. because the U.S. is, basically the epicenter. Now, that could be due to testing. They say to mitigate the budget shortfall, USCIS is planning to implement an additional 10% surcharge on all applications and sought Congress's help on Friday. BuzzFeed's Hamed Aliaz's first reported. The agency has also already limited spending to salary and mission critical activities, but without congressional intervention, USCIS will have to take drastic actions to keep the agency afloat. They say why they're facing a funding shortfall. Immigration has come nearly to a standstill over the past 2 months. The Trump administration has shuttered USCIS offices, closed consulates abroad, shut down the borders and with Canada and Mexico, and imposed a 60-day ban on the issuance of new green cards. Asylum processing at the southern border has also practically stopped as Trump administration officials implemented programs to rapidly return migrants to Mexico without so much as a health exam. While brought on by the pandemic, this kind of decrease in legal immigration is what Trump has long sought. He has railed against what he calls chain migration, referring, we know what that is. I'm not going to get into it. USCIS hasn't released data on how many applications it has received since the pandemic started, but has acknowledged applications are on the decline. The latest available comprehensive data from October 2019 to December 2019 had actually shown a spike in applications, more than 1.9 million as compared to 1.7 million in the preceding 3 months. Applications dipped in March as compared to the same month last year across several temporary visa categories, including visas for people transferring within a multinational company, those who show extraordinary ability or achievement in particular industries, athletes, entertainers, and religious workers. It's likely that applications plunged even further in April as the U.S. instituted immigration restrictions and stay-at-home orders and as economic opportunities dried up. You know what? I think that's it right there. Economic opportunities. U.S. unemployment is so high right now. Why would anyone bother coming here when there's no work at all? 36 million unemployed Americans? Now the opportunity is gone and nobody wants to come. Dare I say, nationalists should be cheering for this one. Think about it. The borders are secured. Immigration is falling apart. Nobody even wants to come here anymore. Trump is bringing back manufacturing to the country. Sounds like nothing but good news for people who wanted all of these things. That's why I think it's funny that people argue that there's a grand conspiracy against Trump. that this is all part of a plot to cost him the election. It's like he's getting to do all of the things he's always wanted to do. I mean, this story from the New York Times, he's going to indefinitely lock down border restrictions. That to me seems crazy. I look, man. We've seen states issue indefinite lockdowns. I think Maryland might have been one of the states that has done it. You got to give a time frame. Emergency powers cannot last forever, and Trump needs to be called out for this the same as literally anybody else would be called out for this. In fact, no, Trump deserves substantially more criticism on this one. But to be fair, and one of the challenges in doing the news is they often lie about the president, so that's what makes it difficult to call out. Let's read this and see what's going on. The New York Times reports, the Trump admin is moving to extend its coronavirus border restrictions indefinitely, advancing the crackdown through broad public health authorities that have effectively sealed the United States to immigrants seeking protection from prosecution, according to officials and a draft of a public health order. On March 22nd, the CDC imposed a 30-day restriction on all non-essential travel into the U.S. from Mexico and Canada, closing legal points of entry. This we know. They go on to say that the order, which was extended for another 30 days on April 20th, was part of a broad effort led by Stephen Miller, the architect of President Trump's immigration agenda, to aggressively use public health laws to reduce immigration as the government battles the virus. But a new order under review by several government agencies is intended to extend the restrictions indefinitely. Once issued by Dr. Robert Redfield, the director of the CDC, the border restrictions would stay in effect until he decides the virus no longer poses a threat. The indefinite extension comes even as Mr. Trump has repeatedly pushed for states to reopen their economies, arguing that the threat from the virus will quickly recede. I am extending the duration of the order until I determine that the danger of further introduction of COVID-19 into the U.S. has ceased to be a danger to the public health. A copy of the draft order obtained by the New York Times reads. Now, China recently, they lifted the lockdown. Some people came back. People started getting sick again. They put the lockdown back into place. Perhaps this is what Trump is reacting to, and if he didn't, they would call him out. The problem right now with trying to criticize Donald Trump is that no matter what he does, the media always lies about it. Not everyone in media, but you know what I'm talking about, the Democrat allies. You never know if what you're reading is going to be real because too many of these mainstream news outlets have been infiltrated by political activists and ideologues. So when I see this story, I have to think to myself, okay, how did they lie about the president? Well, let me tell you, right now, it might actually make sense. Just because Trump thinks the states can slowly reopen doesn't mean we should open up our borders to other people who might be sick, who we can't track properly. We don't know where they've been. It makes sense. I don't like the idea of some kind of indefinite at our discretion proposal, though. There should be a 30-day extension followed by a 30-day extension. This is why I think this is ultimately wrong. Now, look, I got to do this disclaimer. The New York Times could be lying. I've dealt with this before. I've done videos where I'm like, oh man, I can't believe Trump did this. And then 20 minutes later, I'm like, great, it was a lie. Okay, so assuming this is all true, there is absolutely no reason, in my opinion, why we would just do an indefinite detention. If the administration wants to secure our borders and it's an emergency provision locking them down, set a time limit. Because if in 30 days, we all can see that there's nothing going on, well, then we reopen. But I'll tell you what I love about this country is we have checks and balances. And if in 3 or 4 months, everything's back to normal and they refuse to reopen, that's when all the lawsuits come in. We'll see how it plays out. It could be that Trump wins in the end. Still, regardless, we shouldn't have any kind of indefinite emergency powers. That's the meme right now. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's the Democrats. I don't care if it's Pelosi. I believe they would all, given the opportunity, take more power, empower themselves. Trump is no exception to this. We've recently seen bipartisan effort to extend FISA spying powers. And I love this. It was like voted on 80-16, bipartisan support in the Senate on FISA surveillance authority. Even after it was abused to go after Trump, the Republicans still want to push this through. That's why I don't care for either party. I care for very few. Of course, Rand Paul made the right choice. Bernie Sanders was nowhere to be found. There was another bill mostly supported by Democrats that would remove the ability of the FBI, I believe the FBI, to get your browser history without a warrant. Mostly Democrats who supported revoking this power. Many Republicans supported revoking it as well, but most of the people who supported keeping these powers were Republicans. So it goes every direction, man. You need to call this out. The Trump administration should not have the ability to do this, the same as the governor should not have the ability to indefinitely lock anything down. Because if you don't do this, guess what happens? Yeah, maybe Trump wins 2020, gets reelected, and then maybe some weirdo progressive gets reelected and then issues a decree opening the borders indefinitely, and no one can do anything about it because it'll be the precedent is upon us. Now, I get it. It doesn't necessarily work that way with executive orders. The courts will still exist. That's why I'm happy about it. But you got to avoid this precedent being set. It will carry on. It will be 50 years from now, and things will just they get worse. It's grains of sand making a heap. It's a slippery slope. We resist these things. I'll leave it there. Stick around. Thanks for hanging out. Next segment will be tomorrow at 10 a.m. on this channel, and I will see you all then.